In this video we're going to have a recap of ESL Winter. We'll start first with my top 10 moments from this tournament, all the best, the most epic stuff from the world-class players, and at the end of this video we'll discuss some interesting facts and statistics related to this event. So let's begin with our top 10. Keep in mind that you can also rewatch the whole tournament at ESL page on YouTube. Make sure to check it out and subscribe so that you don't miss future StarCraft 2 events.
The Phoenix count is heavily in favor of Classic. Showtime. The mothership. Wait, he finished it. It's done. The mothership. The mothership gamble. The game hinges on this mothership. There is no detection. The timing of the active cloak is going to be absolutely... He's trying to draw him into the fray. But he uses the cloak! And the Phoenixes are untouchable. Time warp! But did he turn the tides well enough? Did Showtime do it with the cloaking? It's close. I don't think either player... I'm not convinced either player has any idea what's going on. And it's dead even at the end of the day. 13 Phoenixes. But Classic has more. We're reduced to just saying names of units at this point, as I can barely keep up with anything else. They're still nearly maxed out. Observer joins up. Orbital burning. Storm takes out another Liberator. Another Storm softens things up. The Tempest from downtown. And here we go again. Liberators blasting their way. Well, Tempest blasting their way and Liberators sieging up. A dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen charge lots, 29 charge lots on the field. But the Marauders to match them. The economies are massive, and they're willing to throw it all away for a few more inches on the field. The Tempest, no match against the Marines, more Vikings in production. Estrella pushed back to his southern base. Warps in another round. The Tempests are chipping away, but Kellisher is moving quickly, trying to use the Widow Mines against him, but most of them doing good damage to the charge lots. Where are the Observers? How many Observers are left on the field? Only one. Knocks down another Medevac. He has Observer speed, thankfully, which is kind of important here. No, clean up those. Yep, gets the Widow Mines. Kellisher has the northern base now. Is there tectonic destabilizers? No, he doesn't have the anti-building upgrade, but he has a lot of anti-building capability. Immortals underneath. Kellisher not maxed out here. He's down to 40-something SCVs. Estrella doesn't have much of a bank. That Templar, I think, has enough for one storm. He needs it so badly. One storm. The Vikings. Oh, my head. That was not the storm. That was certainly not it. The only storm that could have kept Kellisher in the game here. But he's still losing so much. The Immortals blasting past. There's some charge lots undercutting the reinforcements. And Kellisher dips under 100 supply. While Estrella is still mining. Oh, gotta be real careful with those Tempests. He gets one. Costs him a Viking. And the times of plenty have ended. We're down to this. The Bioarmy is still very dangerous to anything without splash damage. The Immortals, I think, the real MVPs throughout this game. The Immortals have really tilted the scales in a lot of these fights. And held the line when nothing else could. The army supplies, ooh, Revelation. Oh, they're being so careful now. Yeah, you lose. Oh my god. 120, 30,000 resources. I don't know how many there are on the map, but only a few thousand more than that. That is... It's everything. Neither player. They just wailing on each other for so long that now every unit counts yet again. Well, EMP plus Vikings, very... Oh, the Tempest! There's no repairing that. I don't think the SCVs are gonna help. There is energy, but there's still minerals. Oh, blinks forward. Every ghost matters. How many Templar? This is just an orbital. Kellisher. No planetary here. Is he gonna try to protect the base? Obviously, Estrella knows the army's coming. He knows the angle it's coming from as well. But the ghosts are still so dangerous. The feedbacks! At the land, another set! He gets them all! Wait, there's one! Is there any storm? Maybe one! Oh no, it doesn't have enough energy yet. The Bioarmy is rampaging, but is it enough? The one Colossus makes all the difference! Estrella's supply! GG! 30 minutes, an hour and a half!
And here's the interesting thing as well. Clem is building 6 Liberators at a time. We've talked a lot, well, much has been made of +2 Liberators, Liberator range as being this kind of breakpoint where suddenly it becomes very hard as this nice snipe on the Ghost, but EMP goes out. It becomes very hard for the Protoss player to deal with. I think in part that might be why we're seeing this very heavy carrier commitment early on to just prevent Clem from getting there. But it's out now. The SkyToss is not as strong as it was. There's a lot more gateway units. And this armada of Terran, what are we at right now in terms of it's 7 Liberators, 13 Vikings. This is a hard army to fight.
Yeah, this is a very difficult army to fight, and this is definitely not the place to fight it, but it kind of seems that Classic is annoyed a little bit over those bases being harassed right now by the Liberators. We still have 1 Phoenix, so you can obviously send that single Phoenix to deal with some of these Liberators. The only problem with this is that it takes a long time for 1 Phoenix to kill a Lib, and it will take a particularly long time if the Phoenix is not battling the Liberator at all.
At least you got +3 on the Phoenix, so that's something. But yeah, it's still going to take quite a while here. And the interesting thing is we're just seeing more carriers. That makes sense, right? It's a lot of damage, but the gold base is going to go down right now. And this is one of the problems when the Terran finally gets to this Bio Liberator Viking composition. It's called Protoss Mech for a reason. It's strong in a straight-up fight. It's powerful. It's not mobile at all here. The Terran can start to move around the map and section things off, and it's a lot harder for the Protoss to defend.
A couple of Stalkers getting EMP. This is probably not where Classic wants to fight, but he does drop battery overcharge, so maybe he looks at this and says, it's now or never. This is the best fight I'm going to get. But I don't know if it's all that good, as the Interceptors are getting absolutely obliterated. There are still a lot of carriers left, though, and the battery overcharge is absolutely doing its thing. Carriers still going forward. They need to make sure they never get on top of the Marines, but they don't. Classic takes legitimately a very good fight at his own third base, and Clem lost a lot of very expensive Terran units there.
Yeah, you talk about Liberators going down. At the worst, it was 50% Liberator or Interceptor count. So the Interceptors were still fighting very strong. And the problem was a lot of those Marines went down. We lost a lot of that anti-air very quickly in the fight. But the question now is, how does Classic punish Clem? He's got 3 command centers on the north side. He has pretty much every base available to him. You want to see Classic take this fight and swing it into an even more of an economic advantage. Take a base down, take 2 bases down, force Clem's area to be smaller.
What a great first series of the tournament. Classic with a 20-minute game here against Clem and an L-Tyranny, and he's not done yet. As he gets on top of one of the orbitals, he's going to kill it. He's going to kill the sensor tower as well. There are 4 more carriers in production, and this is where things can get difficult. Oh, what an EMP on every single High Templar. Clem now thinks that this is the moment to just go ahead and fight. Well, that was obviously a sick EMP, but you still need to respect the power of all these carriers, as a couple of Widowmines do blow up a lot of the Interceptors, but there are so many of them. I mean, that EMP was godlike, but I almost feel that Clem underestimated the strength of the rest of the army a little bit.
That he did. There were still 50 Interceptors even after the Widowmine. So Clem's trying to take this fight, but honestly, Roddy, he's back against the ropes right now. He didn't even lose the north side base. He just lost the SCVs there in Classic. He sends his opportunity to send us to game number 3. Stalker's gonna blink on top of this. Is this the move, Classic? Is this what you want? And it seems like it absolutely is. Everything goes down. Classic takes us to game 3.
Yeah, good question. I actually missed that as well, but there's going to be another drop coming into the main base for Cure. He's going to be able to snipe off even more workers. Estrella, if he wasn't already in a kind of all-in position before, he is very all-in now. He cannot afford to lose all of the pylons. He's going to lose 2 of his warp gates over here, and he needs those to help try and reinforce for this basically all-in that Estrella is committing to now.
Yeah, this is fully committed right here. Big Blink Forward will find one of the tanks very quickly. There was a big minefield behind this. SCV is going to get pulled. Nice interference matrix right there, shutting down one of the bosses. This is a very messy fight, to say the absolute least. I think Estrella's breaking through, but on the other side, there's definitely a lot of chaos being caused on the third base. And this is going to turn into a weird kind of pseudo base trade, but I think Estrella might be able to break through at the front.
Okay, Force Field gets thrown down in the ramp, so no reinforcements can come in. There are 2 Vikings picking away at these Colossus with the Warp Prism, evacuating them further and further back. If the Colossus get on top of the bio, they are going to start evaporating. The Marauders trying to churn through the Stalkers. They cannot, and Estrella, the American hero, looks like he is pushing on into Cure's main base.
That he is. He's killed so many workers right here. He's going to be able to camp the production. The question is, does he recall or not? That is going to be a really difficult call to make, because if he recalls, he's going to potentially give up the kind of chokehold he's got on his opponent. A lot of army units in at the top side. Oh, one of the Colossus goes down, and I think the Warp Prism fell as well. We will see the Vikings trying to take down this one Colossus, but they're not going to be able to get the damage done. Cure with a really nice little ambush in the main base. He is picking away a lot of these Stalkers, and he gets the Colossus. That is huge. And I think, oh man, the supplies are so low right now. This game is nutty.
Yeah, and I mean, back at home, as you can see in the picture-in-picture, Estrella basically has almost nothing left. He has 6 probes somewhere out on the map right now, but that actually means his army is even smaller than it would otherwise be. It's just these 6 probes, and he's even pulled them across the map. He has 435 resources. Those are so important because remember, Cure is a Terran player, and Terrans have the inherent advantage that they can lift their buildings and try and force a draw. If your opponent does not keep a Nexus alive and probes to mine with, he needs to keep enough probes alive and enough to build a Nexus so he can eventually kill off floating buildings.
Absolutely. That was very nice from Cure, by the way. He targeted down one of those Stalkers with the 2 Marines that popped out. That was brilliant. Excellent decision-making right there. I think there's the recall.
Is this okay to do?
I don't know. Immortal getting very low, but it is on the other side of the Nexus. The Stalkers, there's only 2 of them. Probes are going to fall here. Medevac will get taken down. Immortal will fall, and I think that's going to be all she wrote there. Stalker number 1 is going to fall. Stalker number 2 is going to go down. Cure will take game number 2 and the series.
But now we have the scenario in which Clem's army 100% has to be following Gumiho's. If Gumiho gets sieged up with those tanks, the Cyclones get obliterated 2-shot here. So you gotta be following this and making sure they don't just make it across the map. The fact that it's already 60% across is actually very dangerous, and Clem's gonna make the call to go for a base trade.
Yeah, and this is a little bit dangerous though, because like you said, when the tanks are sieged, that's going to be a lot more difficult to dislodge, but Clem does get here first, so he's going to go to town on this SCVs. Really nice lockdowns, obviously, as there's no cooldown, all of them are going to fall, but on the other side, Gumiho is going to have a stronger hold, I feel like, with the tanks.
Okay, so in the case of a base trade, mobility matters a ton, right? The tanks will be sieged up right now on top of this production, but then what happens when everyone is lifting buildings? A bajillion Cyclones kill buildings faster than whatever's here, and they're better at getting the lock-ons as things get really crazy. So I think in a technical sense, Gumiho's army should be better, but it's the fact of it always being in position, always sieged up and always ready to go versus Clem's army.
That's an excellent point. So Clem is going to be taking things down a little bit slower, but he's more reliably with those Cyclones. He's already up ahead in supply by quite a bit, but a lot of that is in workers. So army-wise, I mean, it's not too different. In fact, Gumiho is a little bit ahead, but the armies should never look to clash here if you're Clem.
Well, I wasn't expecting this one, honestly, and that is a lot because both Terrans are going for the Cyclone shenanigans, but Gumiho getting the push out so far across was almost given the green light. Like, if Clem went back to defend that, I think he actually just dies, or it's a very difficult dislodge at the very least. He falls behind his third, so on and so forth. Okay. But with the base trade complicating things, it can still go either way. It's just a matter of how they actually engage. And obviously, if Clem goes up the ramp, that's going to be a disaster. He's pulling the SCVs to try and get something done, but hardly anything. I don't even think he took down a Marine there. And now it's just, it's evacuation time. Like, you just are going to try and like base race this, I feel like. I'm actually a little surprised. I guess Clem is hoping he'll catch Gumiho trying to pull back.
Yeah, the supply is so deceitful in this game as well, because, I mean, at the start it looked like, you know, like Clem is 30 supply ahead, but it's mostly workers. Now they have fallen, and now he's way down. At the same time here, there's so much energy on the Ravens that if all the tanks can get disabled on the other side, there is a good chance that Clem can still take this engagement.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Gumiho is well aware of that potential problem, right? He's not going to be silly and just go running around the map trying to find the bases and letting all of his unsieged tanks get locked on, and the Ravens aren't going to, you know, cast spells. Again, like the theory crafting says that Gumiho wins here, but Clem can still sometimes show some incredible micro. The Cyclone micro in general is the strongest strength, and he has his own Ravens, of course, so those are also will play a huge part, but yeah, if Gumiho can get his base across the map or guarded, I should say. If he gets his orbital guarded by his army, pretty sure he just wins.
Yeah, for sure. If he picks up a fight, he will win. A lot of Cyclones already falling. One tank as well on the side of Gumiho, but there's too little remaining for Clem. That's gotta be it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, little back attack was nice, and then also having his own Cyclones, not as many, but, you know, enough to contribute, I think has done it. Clem's certainly not wrong to give this the old college try, stay in it as long as possible, and again, forcing or being forced into that base trade. But
oh, I see.
That is
cute.
Weird.
Yeah.
Like an actual last building killed scenario could still happen.
definitely what he's looking for here. And I don't know if there's any buildings floating for Gumiho here. So Clem's still trying to give himself a win condition, which is amazing because of how his army... Yeah, but now Gumiho splitting 3 buildings to 3 different corners. And there is no air, right? There's no Viking out for Clem, so there's no chance.
Yeah, he lost the starport, and obviously his Cyclones were back there trying to kill every building, which actually might have been the play. He wanted to try and come home and catch Gumiho running back, and that did not work out. So you got to wonder if he had just let the Cyclones tear apart the army, the base.
Can Gumiho kill Clem, though? He has zero resources as
Wait,
well.
yeah, this actually could just be a draw, right?
Yeah, it could very well be a draw, because like I don't see the pieces where Gumiho can or may not kill Clem. Like this might actually, Clem might have actually forced a draw here.
That is so funny. I'm thinking of the Connect 4 game that Clem is playing for Showtime.
That's awesome.
Where it's like, Showtime was like, well, I'm just trying to, not let him win as long as possible. Kind of what's happening here. Clem is just, he's trying to go for an actual win with like the reproduction of the building production of the barracks again, but I don't know if that's going to work. Auto turrets do come down, and they are feisty, especially without the whole might of Gumiho's army, but auto turrets are great, man, but it just, at the end of the day, it's about lifted buildings, and no one has a Viking.
Yeah, and no one has a Viking, and despite Gumiho, I mean, Gumiho has 7 workers somewhere. I want to see where they are and whether, well, I
it
guess
doesn't matter.
He can't. Yeah, he doesn't have a CC, so...
It's a draw.
It is a draw.
Excellent.
Well, Clem has minerals, so technically could Clem ever get to Vikings? Does he have a command center? I guess it would be too risky to ever expose one of his command centers.
Yeah, no, he can't get back to mining, I don't think.
He has 2, so he could try with one of them.
Exactly, he could try with one of them, and then he could try and hide enough technology, the barracks factory, and then the starport, guys. Like, that takes a long time. Clem's actually sitting back in his seat. I don't know if he's thought about the actual draw opportunity. Okay, good thing.
Yes.
I mean, he's obviously still disappointed. Gumiho's disappointed as well. But that is going to be it, guys. A draw for game number 1, TVT. Both players pretty amused now that that's over with, but not something that commonly happens.
I don't want to say anything about this game, about whether the break case gets broken. I'm like, I think he might get the base. I truly don't know,
It's so weird. It's like they picked up their teacup and pinkied out again, but then they also have a clown nose on. And you're like, well, I don't know what the theme is right now, but it's something. I don't think Maru wins, but battle cruisers are very cost efficient. They're also mobile. The trick is, of course, is that when they do use their teleport, they are much worse units when it's on cooldown.
Well, +3 air attack is going to get shut. Okay, he's going to target it down. Not all the lock-ons were on it, so +3 air attack gone. Maru stuck at 222, mech, air, armor. Cure, he's got better upgrades. On the ground, he's got +3 armor, so any sort of Viking fight he's going to win, especially with anti-armor missile and zombie grub. Count the Ravens. That's a lot of anti-armor missiles. That's any straight-up fight. We've been saying this. Any straight-up fight is really hard.
Yeah, there's 11 Ravens now, but they've already thrown out an anti-armor missile and interference matrix. Once again, Maru just disengaging as long as possible to wait out the spells, but this time his tank's a little too disjointed. Those will be taken out quite easily. Maru all together, everything sieged up, teleport and Yamato available. Very powerful army. And his army supply will be greater than his opponent's if he could ever max out. That's a 41 worker difference. That is going to be huge if it comes down to a max out versus max out scenario. Maru absolutely can still win this game. And I just don't know what happens to Cure's confidence when that happens.
And importantly as well here, you talk about Maru, he can win this game. Maru is mining on like a base and a half, right?
Yes.
There's a north side base. You say if he maxes out, that's a really big if, because here comes Cure again. I like Cyclones, I will play. He's gonna get a couple more tanks, get the shutdowns. But Maru, even as that happens, he's cresting above 150 supply. He's starting to find more value, and we can see just how much less strong Cyclones are against buildings. Last patch, that base is dead in half a second.
Yeah, that's true.
Less, quarter second, as long as you can blink.
Yeah, something like that. A couple more battlecruisers on the way. You can see that Maru desperately wants to get something done on the other side of the map to try and get this monkey off his back, but Kier is relentless. Anytime he sees a weakness, he will jump on top of it. Now most of the tanks are gone, only the battlecruisers coming in. It's a scary prospect. They do have the Yamatos, and they will get those kills, but if they're ever, quote-unquote, alone in the sky, then that's where the Cyclones can get all those efficient lock-ons. They're not getting blasted two-shot by tanks. So, you know, it's something that Maru is concerned about and needed as part of his composition. He does need tanks, so that is a big loss for him as he finally gets his 5th base mining. He is at still only 143 supply. Can he rebuild those tanks? Can he continue building battle cruisers?
And the big deal for Maru here as well, he's been able to get Yamatos on a bunch of units. Is every time he tries to break this base, Kira says, no thank you. You cannot fight without your battle cruisers. Mass teleport on top, and Maru says, hey, go home, Kira, don't fight anything. But I don't know, this is the fight. There's the mass lock on, there's the anti-armor missile. Kira gets Maru out of this game. But even if you win Zombie Corrupt, that doesn't feel good.
That must have been so frustrating. Good lord.
It's a little bit difficult because the Muta can definitely skirt around and get more value out of themselves, but if the Corruptors are in position, it's difficult, right? Because there's no Overlords out on the map because the Muta pick them off. So your Corruptors kind of have to be guessing or be in very neutral positions. This is really nice for Solar, though. Dark knows that he has more Muta, so why would he ever make Sports? So he finds the opening here, and 5 Muta actually one-shot drones, so this is amazing for Solar, who is very happy to trade this Muta, and on top of that, it's gonna pull the Muta of Dark 100% back. So this was a beautiful maneuver.
Yeah, actually splits one Muta off, goes back.
So good.
That's your Muta, the one Muta arrest. As we have a couple of links running into the natural, and this is obviously going to be big because the Roaches are going to have a hard time being in all the correct places. One of the Queens goes down. Come on, Dark, use those Zerglings then in the main base. That's what you're supposed to do. As he grabs 4 drones initially, and even though Solar got good damage done with just a couple of Mutalisks, I'm afraid that this is still not really going Solar's way, because he's just going to have such a hard time keeping all his drones safe across 3 bases.
Yeah, the problem is he's still losing them as well, right? At some point, I mean, the Corruptors, if you can overpower the Muta, you can go and start shredding the hatcheries as well with the corrosive acid or whatever that thing is called. But yeah, I mean, as of now, he's just on defense mode. At some point, like you said, he's gonna have to gather all of his forces and be like, you can't actually deal with my army in a straight up fight, so let's go. And then maybe Dark has to opt for something like a base race. And the moment might be now.
Yeah, Caustic Spray, I believe it is, right?
Caustic Spray,
That's
there
so
you go.
many Mutalisks though, by the way. Let me take a quick look at the Muta numbers against the Corruptors numbers, man. 12 Corruptors is just not enough, cats. I know Corruptors are tanky boys, and I know they're supposed to survive for a little while. Maybe with Queen support, I would believe. But I do not believe that 13 Corruptors can win the fight against 27 Mutalisks and have +1 flyer attacks as well. Dark doesn't really believe in that either, so he's just going to go ahead and take this fight. And he's obviously going to lose a couple of Mutas, but he's already taken out some Corruptors. He's going to turn around now because he wants to make sure that he doesn't lose all of his drones against these Roaches. And this is maybe where Dark would have really loved to have a few more links out on the map, right? Because the Mutas have to choose, what do we kill, the Roaches or the Corruptors?
Exactly, that is the tough thing. This army has so much HP on the side of Solar, so what he's doing is very smart. He's kiting away from the Roaches with the Corruptors. He says, if you wanna kill my Corruptors, you gotta let my Roaches do their damage. If you wanna kill my Roaches, my Corruptors do outrange your Muta, so I can actually get pot shots here and there. And I mean, 22 workers have fallen, Roddy. The Spire will also fall. This is not looking too bad for Solar.
No, it's not looking too hot for Dark at all. Now, what I'm still worried about for Solar is maybe the devastating counter, right? Because look at the amount of Mutalisks. I don't think we have any Spore Crawlers. Let's go ahead and take a look. Did we build any Spore Crawlers? No. So the only anti-air he's going to have are the Corruptors that he sent home, the Corruptors that he's rebuilding right now, and that single Queen. Is that enough to deal with this many Mutalisks? Like, Solar did a tremendous amount of damage there, and I still don't think it was good enough for Solar.
Yeah, I agree. There's no real transition, right? It would have been beautiful if he could have snuck in something like an Infestation Pit, get an Infestor out or something like that to give himself somewhat of a shot. But as it stands, Dark is here already. There's not going to be any time, and Solar is going to have to tap out. Hectic game.
4 BCs making their way through.
What scares me about this is the moment that Hero sees this, he has no more recall. Hero is going to say, F it. You know what? Not bad enough, Maru. And if Hero can deploy all these interceptors and +3 air weapons is done 14 minutes into the game. I mean, I've complained about the lack of Protoss air upgrades for the last 12 years of my casting career, but I got to give it to Hero. He knows how important those are. He just went for it, and at this point, Hero is going to go for it. We have a decent amount of missile turrets, but this many carriers will always be very difficult to deal with.
That they will. We do see the recall coming on in. Nice time warp on top of the Vikings. The storm is huge on top of the Vikings as well. Will this be enough for the BCs to manage to take down the carriers? I don't think so. The BCs kind of being forced to fight away from the Vikings, but the Vikings coming in on the top side. However, they are so low on HP, they're going to melt in the face of those +3 carriers. Both players losing so much, but the lack of a War Prism to reinforce is really the big problem for Hero.
Yep, and yeah, he has a couple of gateway units and obviously could have made a bit of a difference, but in the end, it's a bit of a trade. Maru lost a lot, Hero lost a lot. Maru absolutely needed all those missile turrets, because without the missile turrets, he would not have stand a chance there. But one big issue for Maru, by the way, is that obviously he did not have those extra air upgrades yet, so he was pretty far down in the air upgrades. And the bigger problem was that at the beginning of that fight, Yamato wasn't done yet. I want Yamato to prison here, by the way, maybe teleport home. I don't know if he can teleport home. PCs are very expensive to repair. We don't have those turrets anymore, and the Stalkers are the real issue right now, Statfest.
Yeah, and we got 7 Vikings left over. Obviously, they're going to be nice against the Colossus, but there's no bio on the field. Maru desperately scrambling to get some out. He's still building Vikings. He doesn't need Vikings. He needs to deal with this Stalker force that has that +3 upgrades. Big blink forward on top of the VCs. 1 goes down, 2 go down. Maru is in massive trouble, and Hero, it all comes back to the Blink Stalkers, baby.
Yep, even if the map is not perfect for them, you can always open up with a bunch of carriers and then go back into the Stalkers. But Hero's not there yet, Statfest. Hero has also spent his entire piggy bank, and he's very Stalker heavy now. And Stalkers are going to have a very hard time walking into a Terran main base on top of all those barracks that can still crank out bio. We've got +3 on the bio units. Maru obviously is in some economic issues right now, because going back to the initial 3 bases, 17 minutes into the game, that is the biggest problem. Hero's army, I don't think is invincible. Maru is just kind of broke at this point, and he's still building these very expensive units. The Vikings, though, are going to try to go for 2 carriers in the middle of the map. He kind of underestimated how long that 1 carrier would live. In the end, Maru does get both of them. I want to see what Hero's doing with his gateway army. He's just getting every single orbital.
Yeah, there is not a whole lot left for Maru. Even if he does manage to stabilize, he's lost so much at this point. Hero is super far ahead in both workers and supply. Army supply is obviously not amazing, but and actually, a big deal, it is 3-3 versus 3-0, soon to be 3-1. So if Maru can stabilize, his bio units are a lot better, but Hero is on a massive base count advantage.
And he lost so many SCVs. He lost a bunch of orbitals as well. This is just the biggest problem for Maru at this point. And he's now adding in a few Widow Mines. I really think if he had 3 or 4 Widow Mines earlier, he would have killed the Observers always, right? With all the Vikings and the BCs. I think it all could have gone a lot better for Maru. Let's see how well this upgraded bio can shine here, as we do take out the War Prism. But it's the Zealots again on top of the Marauders. That is going to be good enough.
This push, does it kill Beyond? He has no tanks. You know, we had Cure, I think, add in like 1 or 2 tanks at this point to help anchor our defense in yesterday's game, so there's no tanks here, so it's just run your Cyclones on top of the other Cyclones. SCV pool this time around makes a lot more sense. It does help the buffer for the defensive Cyclones there for Beyond. He will live, still on 4 bases, and still with a, decent SCV count, 71, but secures 95. Apparently, this isn't just a mech bio, it's also a mech surge.
Yeah, Zombie Grub, you may not like it, but this is what peak TVT looks like. Hey,
I may not.
10, 12 Cyclones at a time. Somehow, by the way, the Hellions are still alive. Apparently, they are the key component of this composition.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
That's the secret, actually. That's the secret sauce. He thought it was the copious amount of buttermilk in the biscuits, but apparently it was just like a jalapeno mixed in there.
5 spices or something.
Yeah.
13 Cyclones, 5 spices. Spot the difference.
Yeah. It's actually, again, this is so interesting to watch in real time, and usually I'd be, casting kind of in the style when it's a little more experimental on an online cup or something, but you were just witnessing development, all right? This is like, the time when they realized they could make dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, and they're like, oh god, do we have something? And you're like, you might, but should you? Should you with the Cyclones? Apparently. Now it's Beyond's turn to get that better concave, and Cure is the one that has to retreat.
Now that he does, but hey, you're building 12 Cyclones at a time, 8 Cyclones at a time. They build pretty quickly, and they pop out of your main base pretty quickly. So Beyond, even as he does take the positive trade there, knocking down, 2 more Cyclones than his opponent. Not that big of a deal, actually. He knows he can't overcommit too hard because, hey, there will be more Cyclones on the map. Cure, though, he is starting to expand more, getting extra bases here, but it's Beyond the one that's really started to develop his economy. North side base, bottom side base, maybe the gold eventually. He understands that he has map control, and he's going to take every advantage of that.
Yeah, he should. Cure has actually had the economic lead because of his insane SCV count. But if he doesn't get another base soon, then that just means like all of his minerals and gas are going to be gone in the blink of an eye. In order to get another base, he is going to have to actually push out. But now pushing out into the prepared concave of Beyond, using this little gap here to still make a concave is workable, but you can't necessarily push in. Beyond might disagree. He's thinking about it. He's certainly looking for any bits of damage that he can find, so Refinery does go down. Anti-armor missile on the right side, but not the left. One hero tank is coming in to save the day for Cure, but is it fast enough? I don't know about that. We still got the Cyclone to the far right. We got Cure's 2-2 about to finish, but apparently he didn't need it. Eventually, Beyond is forced to retreat, no doubt. Defender's advantage kicking in right there for Cure. 26 SCVs pulled into the fight to help out, a tank helping out, and then also Beyond having to reinforce across the map, now getting some of those reinforcements taken care of.
Brood War, we can combine them, put them together. Lurker drops in the main base, but the Vikings, oh, the read! But the Ling, he sees it! My God, these players are so high level.
How does he know? He didn't, I guess he maybe saw drops, and there we go, he's gonna find it. Now, not a ton should go down at the moment, everything's gonna get released, but even still, the fact that he can deny this, the fact that he can prevent this, is such a big deal for Clem.
It is massive. You cannot overstate how difficult it is to deal with lurkers on your production. If they get on top of the ramp, it's a disaster to deal with. Cyril was looking for maybe if Clem had potential just kind of causing nuisances in the middle of the map. Oh, okay, he does get the denial. That was actually very close.
By the way, I want to point something out from Cyril here. On that last attempted fight on the north side, as this tank gets abducted, fight happens. We'll hold on to that for a second here. Now the Marines, they're going to have to cut around blinding clouds. We'll force him back even further, but in that last attempted fight, Cyril runs his overlords forward, drops changelings on right behind the army, ideally trying to make sure that he can get that connection. Doesn't happen. Clem's on top of it, micros around. That could have found the value, even still though Clem at 1.6 command centers on the way at the same time. He knows the way this is going. He knows that he's just got to get as much money as possible. So buckle in, folks. This one is going a little longer.
It certainly is, and considering the situation after those Ling run-bys, after the lurkers pushed back the initial attack from Clem, he was not deterred. He was able to kind of adjust on the fly. Meanwhile, though, very nice move from Cyril. He drops the Nidus Worm thanks to that changeling right next to the tank. I think we're going to see the unburrow. Oh, no. Lurkers in the main base. It's red alert in Clem's main.
At the very least, there are a couple of liberators. They're sieged up on top of everything. Viper runs for it, I guess. And Cyril actually, he's not going to get it. Counter drop. But okay, onto the fourth base here. This is what Cyril really wants, trying to break this down. Baneling's looking for the shots. The planetary stays alive, and not enough. The repair is not there in time. Because even if the planetary survived, all the SCVs went down. There wasn't enough there for a repair. Cyril, he gets what he wants, but that drop in the main base, it was shut down.
Yeah, the Nidus Worm in the main base denied by the very quick reaction time from Clem. He counter-dropped his own main with a bunch of those medevacs and prevented the lurkers from sieging up on top of that ramp. If they get on top of the ramp, on top of the production, the Terran can end up just finding themselves suddenly and instantly choked out from a really great defensive position. Oh my God, that scan missed the burrowed infester by 1/4 of an inch. And like the Mighty Ducks say, 1/4 of an inch can make all the difference.
Importantly here, we're seeing 6 Liberators at a time as Clem gets really into that late game. Cyril doesn't want to let him get there, though. There's more Lings, more Banes on this side. Again, another Planetary is going to try to stay alive. The tanks are actually body blocking, but it's not going to be enough. Even still, it's 5 dead SCVs this time. The economy stays alive. There are more command centers available. Cyril needs to keep doing this to keep the economy down, but it's not as bad as it could be.
No, certainly not. And every time Clem has a command center ready to replace, ready to get back in there and continue mining once again. Cyril did something really nice by the way with that planetary bust. He never attacked with the Banelings. He just ran them around the edges so that instead of actually having them die from, him attacking, they soaked up damage. Just a little small move from Cyril. Obviously, we expect moves like that, but it is a nice little move, and he did really cup and hug that planetary fortress well. Clem, though, is trading very cost efficiently on the defense, and he is able to continue to mine on 5 bases.
Before that last fight, he was up 5K. Now he's up 7K.
Oh, that
again,
reaction time. My God, he's fast.
not for, there's a reason that he is literally the best player, at least according to our power rankings, but I guess Clem is as well, so that's not even super relevant. That being said, tons of Liberators on the map right now, and this is one of those innovations that we've seen from Clem since the patch very recently that has allowed him to take games off of Cyril, to really stretch him to the limit on the new
Cyril
play.
on the counterattack, he is in range of the sensor tower. There's a pretty big wall here to get through and double planetary, but Cyril is gonna have enough to do it. I think the Banes should be able to get this base. Probably gonna get both. Hold, can he get the repair? Hold.
I mean, he's gonna keep this one alive. One planetary is dead.
Oh, he keeps it alive.
I think an orbital went down, so realistically, orbital's probably more valuable than planetaries at this point. Again, it's just in terms of mules, scans, the ability to reposition if you lose a planetary. But I want to talk about what Cyril's got on the building tab next. There's a greater Spire on the way, realizing that this Hydraling Bane style by itself is not enough to break Fortress Clem.
No, it's not yet, and while a lot of the map has been gobbled up by Cyril, he's got a fantastic bank, he hasn't been able to find that decisive killer blow. And the Broodlords, they certainly could be it. The upgrades for Clem are very good on the Thors. 2-2 on the Thors and 1-2 on the Vikings. Well, in this case, Liberators. But you definitely want Thors, you definitely want Vikings to deal with those Broods. It's going to be really difficult without them. But with 16 Liberators, I mean, there is a world where the Vipers and Infestors are not on top of them. We could potentially see a bunch of Broodlords get blown out of the sky. That's going to be potential for that. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a possibility.
That it is. Another Nidus goes down in this bottom side of the 6 o'clock base. Cyril, no, you don't attack into that one. Too many Liberators, too many tanks. And Cyril, again, at this point, I think we're going to start to see him try to trade out a little bit, buy room for the Corruptors, buy room for the Broodlords, but this Nidus finally gets up here, and that is 5 Lurkers doing so much damage to the mineral line, so much damage to the planetary, but the repair is going to be fine for now. 1 Lurker stays there just to really enforce the will, and the Cracklings on the north side. Again, more bases get lifted. Cyril, all of a sudden, he's all over the place.
He certainly is, and he is finding value. He is picking away at Clem. And for the last little bit, the resources lost has not gone much more in favor of Clem, only 1,000 more. And we do have to remember, Cyril is out-mining Clem. He's got a gigantic bank, but if you can't break the Terran, if you can't kill those ghosts, you can't, smash through the economy, it does get difficult to end the game. Lingbane Hydra on the bottom side is going to look for a little bit of an opening. We got Clem repositioning. It looks like some siege tanks. A lot of Liberators sieging on up, but the Blinding Clouds are very good from Cyril. He will be able to push the entire Bio Army back, and the Banelings will just smash through this planetary fortress. Clem will be able to hold, and his supply really didn't dip much, and only loses 6 SCVs. He's going to start mining from that base very quickly again. That was not so bad for Clem.
No, it really wasn't. The Blinding Cloud got a lot of tanks, certainly, but there was 1 or 2 tanks on the backside that just fired the entire time, got so much damage done. Now, Clem has to deal with these Lurkers. That's a problem. It has denied multiple orbitals, multiple bases, but now Clem on the map, rampant on the map once again. The Freedom Zones are untouchable, and this is going to be a dead base. And while Cyril has had the map for the last 20 minutes, he hasn't taken a base from Clem. That's the big deal here. Eventually, Clem's going to be able to mine out of every base on the map unless Cyril does something to stop it. And at that point, the inefficiencies, they're really going to start to show. But now, Lingbane on the left side, nothing actually really deals with this. It's all in the air, and the Corruptors in the sky as well. Well, for Dark, they worked out. Are they going to work out for Cyril?
That is a good question. We are going to see the Lingbane flooding on forward. SCVs will get absolutely massacred. A bunch of them do escape, but 24 having gone down in the last little bit. The counterattack from the Liberators, though, finding 13 drones, and it is still alive, completely denying the top side base, and the bottom side, it was taken out as well. Cyril's income has been heavily hampered, but Clem has not won this game yet. That is a really big fluctuation in the last little bit. Cyril, though, despite the giant bank, he hasn't found that killer blow yet.
All right, so for Dark, 23 Corruptors were what it took to kill Cure in game number 1. Cyril's at 17 here, looking to dive on top of the Liberators, dive on top, the Fungal from behind, and here comes the Banes. They're gonna knock everything away, and finally, I would have thought Cyril was going to take a good fight, but he's forced back, and now the snipes go down. So many Corruptors fall, and this should allow the Viking Liberator to take the fight with the splash, but they're just dying snipes again and again, and all the Corruptors die. Clem will hold.
Clem holds the line. The upgrades on the Liberators were bloody ridiculous. 2-3. I think it finished during the fight versus, what was that, 2-0, 2-1 Corruptors? So even though the Corruptors have that base 2 armor, the upgrade advantage for Clem helping so much, and Cyril, he has got a bit of a larva issue. Been a ton of damage, even with the nerf, but here comes the Ultras. Will this be enough? There's so many ghosts, and they snipe those Ultras like they're nothing. Without the fungal growth to hold them down, it is so tough. But the Vikings do get parasitic bombed in the air. Corruptors gonna try and keep moving forward. Widowmine's getting some big shots on that cloud of Banelings. Cyril, I mean, he has not broken through yet, even though this doesn't look... He's still got a lot of stuff here. He can't find the connection on those ghosts. Oh, the Infestor on the top side, but the scan finds it. Killed by the Widowmine on the top side.
You know, Steadfast, I knew Clem's Widowmines were good. I didn't know they were that good as another one goes down. And the snipes in that Sim City of those extra command centers not even done on the way. The Fungal's good. Certainly the Baileys are going to try to find their way in now. Watch the Widowmines. Watch for them. They're not going to get the shots off. Not just yet. But the cloak goes down. And Clem is dominating this fight. There's a remax. Absolutely. 12 Corruptors, Lings, Ultras on the way. More Infestors as well. But the later this game goes, yes, Clem, 33 SCVs, but that means 157 army supply, and Cyril, his bank is sorely, and I mean sorely, depleted.
It is completely gone at this point compared to where it was. At one point, I think he was up to at least 6K, 5K. I think it was up to like 8,000, 6,000 maybe at one point, but the resources lost. Clem is unbreakable. 22,000 resources lost difference nearly. Massive, massive holds. Clem is just unbreakable.
That he is, but Cyril's gonna try to break him again, and as we talk about resources lost in banks, Clem also doesn't have one, so if he loses a fight badly, he won't be able to remax. His parasitic bombs go down. Clem's splits on that are not good. Banelings, again, continue to force the ghosts here on the back line, but again, Clem, he's forced back, but the snipes on the backside are gonna make this a little bit harder. That being said, that army supply lead, 157, it was shut down quite a bit. But it cost Cyril nothing in the bank.
It cost Cyril so much for that. The air army did go down, but Cyril, he doesn't have the money for a Broodlord switch anymore. He is so poor, he is so broke at this point, and Clem, he is gonna start pushing forward on this bottom side. He will or should be able to secure this base. If he can get this 7th base up and running, I don't see a way for Cyril to do it, but for the moment, Clem does not have a whole lot of income. If we look at that income tab, oh my god, that Infestor. That Infestor,
no.
the Unburrow, the Fungal. Oh, he gets it! Does he have the follow-up though? The medevac pickup, like angels in the sky. He says, we've got you, buddy. But we are gonna see the Lings and Ultras pushing forward. Corruptor's gonna find a ton of this. Is there detection for the Ghost? No, there is not. There has been Overseers missing from 3 of the last critical fights, and that has allowed Clem to keep these Ghosts alive over and over and over again. Cyril is going to burrow up some Lings. They will get picked off. This game is getting so close now.
Steadfast, it's not missing Overseers, it's Clem acknowledging, understanding that the way he wins this fight, Infestor looking for it once again. Cyril, you have the right position. Widowmine's not going to trigger off it. The Lings will not force it in time. But again, the big deal there, Cyril is getting those Overseers every single time. Fungal on the medevacs. Ghost will stay alive here. Here comes Cyril's army once again. 17 SCVs, 70 army supply, and it's going to be even less. Cyril trading down 20-odd thousand resources is somehow making this game happen.
Unbelievable stuff. I said Clem was unbreakable. Cyril took that personally. We see the Lings, the Ultras getting it on top of the Ghost. There is a huge, deep tank line behind this, but Clem is so far down in supply now. Both players have no production. The base on the top side that should have been Clem's in theory, Sterile was mining from it. It's been denied. Still, if Clem cannot get another base up in the next, I don't know, no time at all, really, he is going to have no chance. There it is, the lifted command center on the top. Clem needs to hold this. Full stop. That's it. He needs to get this base up and running.
Clem is literally not mining. He's got 100 minerals a minute in, but the power of the Terran, the power of, I don't even know how many command centers, I don't even know how many orbitals means that all of a sudden his economic woes, at least for the moment, they will be solved. That is so many mules as he gives up the bottom side. He says, well, you know what? I mined from it a little bit. That's fine. I don't think you're going to be able to take it in time. When a mine drop goes off, Lings will fall. 9 drones, maybe. 9 drones will hit the deck. So 9 SCVs left. 34 drones left. And the Widow Mine is actually going to get a big shot.
Oh, gets out 2 big shots on the Widow Mine. A third one as well, but he is going to force the base back. However, so many Lings fell. And Sterile, that is actually a really big deal. He's only on 30 Zerglings right now. He's not mining a ton himself. The mules did survive, so they're able to go back there and get into this again. We do see the Inverted Infestor that might have moved in range of the missile turret. Clem wisely building his own missile turret right now. Clem is currently outmining his opponent's mineral income. Sterile knows he must deny this base. Clem, though, might realize Sterile is ultra broke too. And with the tanks on the high ground, no Viper in sight, they are going to survive. The Caustic Spray not able to get the command center. It will survive. My God, this game is unreal. The Infestor! He gets the fungal, but not on every single ghost right there. The kiting back gonna come on in. Ultra's trying to turn the corner, but they get shredded by the tanks. Clem holds once more.
But the orbital is so low. 5 HP is gonna drop a mule, looking for the repair. Cracklings knock that down, and Clem will hold the high ground, but he's gotta buy more time. Again, he's pretty much not mining. He's got like 2 mineral patches. By the way, he lost the gold bases that was happening. He doesn't have that position anymore. Looks like a couple Lings dealt with that, so there is no money on the map. Clem needs this spot right here.
He certainly does. The Infestor not able to get the fungal growth right there. We're going to see a lot of pickup on the Ghost on the left side. Ghost on the right going down. These siege tanks on this high ground are holding the line like nobody's business. And another Mule Hammer drops. But Sterile, he's got a new injection, just what I was talking about. Starts up that base on the bottom side. Those minerals at the gold base, I don't think there's a ton of them, but there is more than 0, and it is going to come down to the absolute wire right now. 12 SCVs versus 34 drones. There are 8 orbital commands, so the Mule Hammer is mighty. Liberator on the bottom side will get chased. All right. Yeah, he's gonna chase it down, no problem.
Yeah, but that does unlock Clem a little bit on the north side, tries to run forward here. And we talked about army supplies, they're equal 63 to 67. 18 of that is in Corruptors. Yes, they fight the Medivacs. Yes, they fight the Liberators. On the ground, though, importantly, it's 1 Ultra. The big deal, a bunch of Infestors just finished. If Sterile can get that fungal again, if he can find that, and importantly, if he can chain it, that's what he's going to be looking for here. This supply is not as good as it looks.
For Sterile, absolutely not. Only 1 Ultralist, 2 about to pop out, though. Creep being cleared at the 32-minute mark on Alcyone. Very nice hot pickup from Clem. Every little advantage, every little positive trade you get is massive. We are going to see the drop on the bottom side. Sterile does have a spotting unit in front of that base, and the Corruptors are on their way down. Oh, it's an Infestor. But all this can really do is potentially slow this down. Drones are going to be pulled. This is a huge boon for Clem. If he kills this base, Sterile might just have to go.
Infestor from the left side, though. It hits the Medivac. Doesn't get the Marines. So, no, here come the Corruptors. Sterile, he's going to be able to knock this down. Drop won't find value, but does this unlock the north side? The other base, that position that Clem's been looking for, there's nothing here. In fact, the drones, preemptively for the most part, they're pulled away. Sterile, his entire army's bottom right.
It is bottom right, but I think Clem has correctly realized as long as he holds his own top left base, he is traded efficiently enough. He has got a few ghosts. He is going to find with a small drop. I like this very non-committal setup. Gets 4 drones, which is actually quite a few in terms of percentages. Oh, the Infestor once again. Did he see the movement, the kind of rustling of the dirt? The scan comes down, he finds it. Clem, so nicely done right there. This base, so much trouble. EMP on the Infestors, but the Ultralisk on the top side. Can it get the job done? With the Siege Tank in the back, the answer is no. Clem holds again on 8 SCVs and 8 Orbals. What a game on our hands.
Those 3 tanks are the only thing that has stood between Clem's victory and his defeat. And now that EMP on the Infestor meant that, hey, there was only one. Clem
the hot
saves the
pickup.
tank as well because he's just that good. And here comes the slow Terran push. This is where it gets so hard for Zerg players on Lings and Banes and Ultras. That composition, especially down supply, is not the most efficient here, especially as Clem has this ability to retreat, to hold the high ground. But here come it. Again, 5 Ultras, a couple Infestors. It's all about those fungals. First one whiffs, there are still a couple more.
Yes, there are. It is also going to come down to, are there any ghosts available? Good job from Clem to deny the Changeling that wanted to see where Clem's army was. Serral, he is in trouble. He knows he needs a monster engagement as he falls further and further behind in supply. And Clem is really ramping the pressure up on this base. Serral will be able to find a couple of Widowmines on the front, but Clem going for that one Ultra, even damage on Ultras at this point. Nice split from Clem right there. Huge Widowmine shot. Serral's gonna go for it. The Blinding Cloud is good, but the defense of Clem is even better.
Like a ship at the night, Clem finds his way forward here, and you shall not break him. You shall not pass. You shall not mine. It's a 40 army supply lead, and Clem feels like finally 35 minutes into this game has cracked this thing wide open. There is no more money for Serral. He's mining a little bit, I guess, on the right side. But at this point, Steadfast, not only does it feel like Clem has finally cracked open this game, it feels like the winner of this game is destined for this series.
It certainly feels like this is the pivotal moment of this series. We will see the Corruptors looking for the Caustic Spray takedown on this base, and as the damage ramps, he will find it. But Clem has already taken what he needed from that base. He's denied the base on the bottom side. Serral is trying to draw his opponent into an unfavorable fight, but Clem constantly scanning, never gonna get caught out by those Infestors. And there he sees the Infestors now. They are gonna get slowed down. The EMP shuts the door on the Miracle, and Clem, he is inching closer and closer to this game number 3 victory.
One Fungal remains. I don't know where it is. It's from the backside. It's from the backside, but it's not enough. Not at all. Serral's dead. Clem has killed him. I can't believe what we just saw.
Unbelievable stuff coming out from the Frenchman.
Now is the time to crunch some numbers and check out some interesting facts about this tournament. The strongest race was Zerg, with 55 and 6% win rate against Terran, and 51 and 9 against the Protoss race, which could be explained by the fact that it had the least numbers of players, only 14, compared to 16 Terrans and 18 Protoss. The Protoss race struggled really hard against Terran. It only got 37 and 7% win rate in this tournament out of 61 games, which is really a miserable number. Unfortunately, Protoss fans were once again left unsatisfied as the last Protoss player was eliminated in the round of 8, and he was, by the way, the only one who made it there. As for the maps, the most popular one was Oceanborn, and the least popular was Equilibrium. Throughout the tournament we also had some interesting matches that had completely unexpected results. For example, Hero Marine was able to crush Protoss Dreams once again as he defeated the best Protoss player Hero quite early in this tournament. And on the contrary, Hearthstone was able to outplay one of the strongest Zergs, Raynor, eliminating the latter from the tournament. The pinnacle of the tournament was Clem's long-awaited triumph. Both Raynor and Clem rose to prominence shortly after Serral's big victory at Global Finals 2018, and they were the new generation of the very young and talented players. Raynor was able to quickly catch up with Serral already in 2019. But the same was expected from Clem. However, it took him almost 4 years to finally bring home the big Premier Tournament victory with many top-level Korean competitors. Now, the last player to achieve the same level of success is Max Pax, a Danish Protoss who is even younger than both Clem and Raynor. However, he hasn't competed offline for his own reasons yet. That's it for today. If you enjoyed my recap, make sure to check out the best StarCraft 2 moments of all time. Have a nice day, and see you next time.